for the first of 2 rolling laps. Milo Lichterlein and Marius Solly Poulsen, the only Norwegian driver we have here this weekend. They start from row number 7. Then from Spain, Manuel Galofre Tornier, and from Sweden, Oliver Arenstedt on row number 8. On row 9, watch for Ethan Hawkey in kart number 271. Ethan made his way up into the top 10 in his first race, despite starting on the 9th row of the grid. And alongside Ethan on row number 9 will be Bas de Laat from the Netherlands. There's Jordan Brown-Nutley going through your screen. On row number 10, Gregor Yeats from Estonia and Christian Hristov from Bulgaria. Sander Sepp, and it was supposed to be Jensen Butterfield, but Jensen not here, so it's just Sander Sepp, the Estonian driver, in kart 239 on row number 11. 21 drivers, all chasing that man there. Number 244, Jordan Brown-Nutley. Can he make it 2 wins out of 2? Well, Milan Petele in kart 238. You turn the clock back 1 month, go on to the Telemundi YouTube channel and see the final of the Winter Cup, and you will see that Petele led into that final corner, that final chicane. Brown-Nutley passed him for the win, and then sadly Petele had a penalty for a dropped nose cone, which dropped him off the podium. But Milan Petele on that Praga kart, number 238, extremely fast, and he will be wanting to equalise, shall we say, and get one over on Jordan Brown-Nutley. The most experienced man in the field, sitting there in 3rd place with those yellow flames on his crash helmet, Joey van Splinteren. Again, a European champion 7 years ago. Only 25. He's now mentoring Niels Koelen, who is in this class but not in this race. We'll see Niels later on, so what better way to mentor somebody than by race with them. And then it's Rowan Grinwies in kart number 223. Sim Liedmar had a tough time in kart 256. He'll be looking to salvage a decent result here. And Simão Ventura in kart number 226. Privateer driver, the 15-year-old from Mira, runner-up in last year's Portuguese Championship. He starts on the outside of row 3. Here we go. It looks like a good formation. Lights are out, and Jordan Brown-Nutley gets jumped there. It's another very quick start from Joey van Splinteren. That's the second time we've seen Van Splinteren get the jump on Jordan Brown-Nutley going into turn number 1. The problem that Van Splinteren's got now is that his kart doesn't seem to be as quick in a straight line. It's very, very good around the twisty sections, but it's not as good in a straight line as Brown-Nutley's, and it certainly wasn't in the first heat, and it's not again here because Brown-Nutley already looking for a way around, and that's not a sight you see all the time. Joey van Splinteren defending on the first lap, just holding the inside line. He knows that if Brown-Nutley goes, then he won't see him again for dust, so he's got to try and hold him off. You can see again Van Splinteren taking a defensive line at turn number 9. Brown-Nutley will try and cut back underneath Van Splinteren going into turn number 11. There's Grinwies in 3rd, Petele in 4th. They head into the final corner, and Brown-Nutley gets the crossover. Jordan Brown-Nutley passes Joey van Splinteren as they go on to the start-finish straight. Now Van Splinteren has got to try and stay in Brown-Nutley's wheel tracks. He's done so. Grinwies in 3rd, Petele in 4th place. Then it's Lichterlein by the looks of it in kart number 219. A good start from Milo Lichterlein from the 7th row of the grid up into P5. Sim Liedmar is next. Brown-Nutley holding on. Van Splinteren. Well, we're not going to see Joey van Splinteren battling with Jordan Brown-Nutley. Oh, and behind them, I can see a pile-up going into turn 3. At the back of your screen there's half a dozen karts, maybe more. Somebody spun going into the button chicane and blocked the track. And while we look at the leaders, there is a whole gaggle of drivers frantically getting up and out of their karts. 2, 4, 5 drivers. Oh, there's definitely a couple of the Estonians in there. Somebody has got damage on that kart and moving them out of the way. That is Sebastian Delgrand. Jonathan Brown is in there. Manuel Galofre in there. Christian Hristov is in there. And I think we may have Sandor Sepp in that as well. The lead 4 have broken clear meanwhile. They go through turn number 3 at the start of lap 3, and it looks as though everybody apart from Jonathan Brown in kart number 215 has managed to get out of that mess unscathed. We'll catch up on who has been caught. In fact, it's the number 228 kart of Sebastian de Grands who is out. But the lead battle goes through turn number 8 now. A quartet up front. Behind them, just saw that bright turquoise coloured kart of Sim Liedma losing a place to João Ferreira. But it's Brown Nutley, Van Splunteren, Grinwies and Peterle into turn number 11. Side by side behind them is Sim Liedma fighting back against João Ferreira. Oliver Clark is 7th, and that's Lichterlein in 8th. So 2 4-kart battles. First to 4th and 5th to 8th. Here's the lead battle. Brown Nutley. Van Splunteren is able to hold on to him. As long as Joey Van Splunteren doesn't lose the slipstream, he will be able to stay with Jordan Brown Nutley. He cannot make a mistake. He has got to be inch perfect, and if Rowan Grinwies goes side by side with Van Splunteren, that will give Brown Nutley all the gap he needs to try and pull away. But at the moment he can't pull away because he's simply dragging Joey Van Splunteren around. Van Splunteren he's not looking at the corner, he is looking at the rear bumper and the rear wheel of the kart in front, and is just copying the lines, staying in the clean air behind Jordan Brown Nutley's kart, using Brown Nutley almost like as a windshield. Onto the start-finish straight, Van Splunteren is tucked centimetres, millimetres away from the rear bumper of Brown Nutley's kart, and they're going 80, 90 kilometres an hour, even up to 100 kilometres an hour into that first corner, inches apart. Grinwies has lost 3rd place to Peterle, and so Peterle in kart 238, there he goes down the back straight, leaping up and down in his seat just to try and get those rear wheels to rotate a fraction of a second quicker. Clark is next in 5th position, Oliver Clark, all on his own. Then Lichterlein, Ferreira, Liedma, and number 236 is up into the top 10. That is Martin Villeke. So he started 7th, the Belgian driver. He's now running in 9th. And Patrick Kibble, the Metro Group driver, easy to spot. He's got a luminous yellow kart, and Patrick Kibble is up into 10th place. Then it's Ethan Hawkey, and I'm looking down. Well, Jonathan Brown, Manuel Galofre, and Sebastian de Grand have all retired. Christian Christoph is 17th. He was caught up in that, and so was Sander Sepp. So 16 drivers managed to get through that first lap incident unscathed. Now Jordan Brown Nutley on lap number 6 out of 11, 56.226, new fastest lap. Van Splunteren, you can see he's not able to get as close behind Brown Nutley as he was a lap or two ago. There's Sim Liedma making a move going into the Button Complex, and Sim Liedma getting past Milo Lichterlein for what is 7th place. So Van Splunteren, we'll see Van Splunteren driving that number 273 kart really hard through the corners, but he's chasing the number 244 of Jordan Brown Nutley through turn number 11. And on to the start-finish straight. Van Splunteren is losing a little bit of ground. He's not quite in the slipstream, so he's got to brake a bit later coming into turn number 1. Look how much ground Van Splunteren makes up under braking. He is driving the wheels off that number 273 Gillard kart through the corners because he knows that Brown Nutley has got more poke down the straights. He's got more waft, as they like to say in karting circles. And Milan Peterle is trying hard. Well, Van Splunteren, it wouldn't be too bad if Peterle caught Van Splunteren, as long as Peterle then pushed Joey along. If Peterle gets to the number 273 car and gets side by side, then Brown Nutley will disappear off. If Peterle gets to Van Splunteren and just pushes him along, literally gets his nose cone resting on the number plate at the back of that kart, and at nearly 100 kilometres an hour, just push him along down the straight, then they will catch Jordan Brown Nutley, or at least keep him within striking distance. Rowan Grinwies in 4th place, you can see, is now fading. Oliver Clark all on his own in 5th, and João Ferreira in 6th is also ploughing a bit of a lone furrow. So the best battle on circuit is for the 1st, 2nd and 3rd places. Brown Nutley on the brakes, turn number 5, and you can see, look at the best drivers don't look like they're turning the wheel. If you see a driver who's all arms and elbows, that means that he's overdriving, or she is overdriving, or the car isn't behaving properly. But look at Jordan Brown Nutley. There's no manoeuvre there on the steering wheel. He's one move. The cart bites, turns left, doesn't understeer. Now hard on the brakes. Back end slightly steps out. Van Splunteren just behind them. 4/10 down. There's Oliver Clark going through in the number 251 M Sport Kart. Clark in 5th position is actually closing in a little bit on Rowan Grinwies as they go through turn number 11, down the start-finish straight towards turn number 1. There is Van Splunteren still just out of the slipstream. He hasn't lost it totally, but he is certainly not getting the draft. Petelet chasing Van Splunteren sets a new fastest lap, 55.875 seconds for the Frenchman in kart number 238, running in 3rd place. Down the back straight into the Button Complex. Grinwies has gone in 4th. He is no longer a factor. Neither is Clark in 5th. Ferreira holding off Liedmar for 6th position. Lichterlein is 8th. Then is Willeken and Patrick Kibble. Behind Patrick Kibble is Ethan Hawkey, then Marisoli Poulsen, and the number 226 kart of Simao Ventura, followed by the number 257 of, that is Bas Delart. I do apologise. Bas Delart is next in line. We start lap number 10 of 11 through turn 1 and 2. Still Van Splunteren is not giving up. Brown Nutley cannot relax for a split second, even though he just sets a new fastest lap of the race, 55.841 seconds. A couple of tenths quicker than Van Splunteren, but nothing too significant. You can see the field spreading out down the back straight. But Van Splunteren, all he can do is keep the pressure on Jordan Brown Nutley. He knows that Brown Nutley is good. But if you keep the pressure on any driver, once in a while that driver will make a mistake, because they are human after all, even though they are superhuman in some cases. There's Patrick Kibble in the bright yellow kart. He's in 10th place. And on to the start-finish straight to begin their final lap. And Brown Nutley, another very good lap, 2 tenths quicker than Van Splunteren. And I think that Van Splunteren is too far back to even think about making a lunge, as Jordan Brown Nutley comes through turn number 4 now. Into turn number 5, will we see him check over his shoulder going down this straight? Yes, there's a quick glance. He knows that he's got clear air behind him. Therefore, he knows that there is absolutely no need to drive defensively and potentially slow himself down. Van Splunteren comes down the short straight. Will we see him check over his shoulder under braking? Not quite, and because Petelet is not close enough. So Jordan Brown Nutley looks like he will take another win. He will maintain his unbeaten record this weekend so far as he comes across the line. Checkered flag waits, 2 out of 2 for Jordan Brown Nutley in kart 244. Joey Van Splunteren is having a great weekend so far. He finishes 2nd. Milan Petelet, consistent at this point in time. That is good for Petelet. He finishes in 3rd place. Rowan Grinwies, strong drive to 4th for Rowan. Oliver Clark in kart 251 finishes 5th. And there's Jordan Brown Nutley going through, and there's Grinwies' kart, followed by Clark going through your picture. Then a long gap behind Clark, 3.5 seconds back to João Ferreira, who finishes in 6th position, and Sim Liedmar finishes in 7th for the AIX racing team in that very brightly livery turquoise coloured kart. Milo Lichterlein, strong result for Milo in 8th. Then Martin Willeke for the Euro karting team running out of the GKS